G-O-A-T, G-O-A-T. There he goes. Oh, good work. Welcome to the farm. Good job, Judy. Sometimes she coughs.
It feels like just yesterday when we welcomed the 4 goatlings to our farm, and it has been incredible to watch them play and grow along with our daughter Constance. After 2 hot summer months on the ramshackle ranch, it was time to say goodbye to our little male goat Bowie, who had grown quite big on his mum's milk. This way. This way. Yes, so today is the last day that Bowie will be with us. He's actually getting picked up in about an hour's time by a lady in Nannup, and he's going to remain intact, which is just amazing because about a month ago I was saying to Troy we need to neuter him just because we don't want to keep a buck on the property, and once they get to about 3-4 months of age they actually can impregnate all your does. So I didn't want to hold on to him too long intact, but he's actually going to remain intact and live a long, happy life, I expect, unless something unfortunate happens to him, in Nannup with a lady. So she's taking him on as part of her breeding program. She wants to raise a whole lot of dairy goats. So super exciting that he's going to a home not far from here, about 45 minutes away, and he will be enjoying a life being a buck with a few other bucks too. He won't be by himself. There'll be 2 other bucks that he'll be with, and he'll be able to service some lovely dairy goats. So I'm very excited for him. He's actually a really magnificent looking little buckling. Buckling means a teenage boy goat, and he has already got massive horns for 2 months old, and I think he's going to sire some beautiful children. I hope that this lady keeps in touch with me and shows me some of his babies next year, but I do think that he will make some really nice kids. So it's time to say goodbye to him, and we've got the 3 goats left. I'm trying to decide whether to keep, who to keep. I'm pretty sure I'll keep Dot's little girl Maisie, who we've called Maisie, and then Jude's got 2 little girls that we've called Wattle. Don't touch the camera, Constance, who we've named Wattle and Polly. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to stop that right now because a baby's about to pull the camera down. But so long. We sold Bowie, or sent him off to his new home on Thursday, and then we went away on Saturday. And I did milk Dot Saturday morning before we left at about 10 o'clock. Now we've come back at 5 the following day, and I've never seen her udders so full. Not too hot, she's just really full. So her little girl that we've called Maisie, she was with her the whole time, but obviously Bowie, I should say, he was probably drinking the lion's share of his mum's milk, because when we left them previously, both goats, she was pretty much empty. So yeah, I think maybe her milk production may drop, or there might be some adjusting for Maisie, but for now we're just going to have to like keep an eye on it and milk her out once or twice a day, Hopefully, I don't think we're having any more trips away from the farm for a little while, so I won't let her get this full. It's probably quite uncomfortable, and I really do want to get in there and milk her out. I'm not sure how many litres there are in here, but it's certainly the fullest I've ever seen her udder for milking, so I'll be interested to see how much there is in there actually. Even when we left her overnight without her babies on her, her udder was never this full. I have been using the dog bowl as a strip cup to look at the milk and make sure there's no mastitis. It's really important to check that now because she hasn't been milked for about 30 hours. Oh, and yes, so there was a bit of blood in this one actually. That's not good. I've never seen that before. Like, I'm not sure whether we'll keep this milk. We might just give this milk to the pets. We'll just milk her out and then she's got a fresh start. Yeah, so that's why they say you should just, before you start milking animals, just check the milk before you start. See if there's any blood. That's often a sign that there could be some mastitis. So leaving her 30 hours and not milking her, even with her baby on her, I guess just with the level of milk production she had with the other little boy, we've had a little bit of perhaps the start of mastitis, but her udders don't feel hot yet, and they're not red, and she's not in discomfort. So we'll milk her out as quick as I can. As you can see, Dottie is pretty comfortable with me milking her out. And also, she's incredibly easy to milk out. I've seen some hair on the microphone. Yeah, she's been a really great goat actually. She's very calm. She is dominant though, so she will use her horns, but not super aggressively, just more like little warning nudges to the other goats. But she is so calm, like especially on the milk stand compared to Jude, who really like pushes me around and like leans against me and makes it really difficult to milk her. For the next little while I might actually just be milking Dottie because Jude is not the dominant goat and she has 2 babies still. And I think I'll keep them on her for a little while and then perhaps sell them as a pair and dry her off and just keep milking Dot. So as you can see, or hear, a lot of milk comes out in each pull. She's a lot easier to milk than Astrid, our dairy cow, and definitely a lot easier to milk than Jude. So she's a great animal, and yeah, I think she's got the potential to produce a lot of milk, judging by how much she's just made in the 30 hours, even with her baby on her. This is about, oh, I know what it is actually. It's a 5 litre urn, and I think we've got about 4 litres in here. So yeah, her udder had 4 litres in there. So even with her baby, which maybe Maisie drinks 1 to 2 litres a day, so she might actually be producing 5 to 6 litres a day. I don't really know. I go put her back with her baby and the other 3 goats. And now that we've gotten rid of that milk, and yeah, that's milk for the next few days for the pets, and I'll clabber the rest for the chickens.
Constance, what's this? Corn? Yummy? Corn, come here.
Hi. Titty.
Want some corn?
Titty.
Yum. Can I have the papirki? Thank you. Chomp chomp. Is it good? You can say anything about your goat fodder there?
So this arrowroot is wonderful mulch and a great bioaccumulator, but it's also #1 goat food, so just a win-win to have this in the garden. And it was creating a lot of nice shade over our plants just in the middle of summer, but now we're getting into autumn and the weather's cooled down. The summer crops are still going, but we can prune it back now. It won't, I don't think it will suffer too much. And yeah, we can just mulch all the plants and just till while they finish off fruiting. So I've just spent the best part of this afternoon sowing up our seeds for winter and spring. It's mid-autumn, no it's not mid-autumn, it's the middle of the first month of autumn and it's still very warm. Which I think is really good for getting these to germinate because we don't have a hothouse, a greenhouse. So yeah, we've just, Constance and I have actually packed the seed trays yesterday. And our seed raising mix is about 3 parts cocoa peat, 2 parts compost to half a part perlite, and then there's a little bit of blood and bone and some worm castings thrown in, and we just mix that all around. I've done 50-50 compost and cocoa peat with a bit of vermiculite previously, but I just had perlite lying around and we had loads of cocoa peat, and I know you can raise seedlings in straight cocoa peat, so I just did a little bit more cocoa peat than to compost this time. The compost that we've made ourselves, it gets scratched a lot by the chickens and it's quite rocky, so I did have to like sift the compost a bit before I added it, and then again when we were packing in, there was a few rocks, so yeah, it was easier to just have a lot more cocoa peat because we have that available. I am topping, as I've planted everything, I'm topping with vermiculite. So I finished this tray here, I'm just topping with vermiculite. Based on what I've read, it kind of acts as like a sort of mulch for when you're raising seeds. So it keeps the moisture in, it prevents rot around the stem, and just works well to just keep everything all together. It's a little bit expensive. I can't remember how much I paid for this bag, but I'm only going to be using, I'm barely going to use, maybe I'll end up using 1/4 of the bag for these seeds, but this is basically everything that will be growing over winter. What have I got here? This is a brassica tray, and I used to label everything, but I think I'm just going to roll with it being sort of like random. Each row has something different in it, and this tray here, I've written down brassica tray. They all have to be 30 centimeters apart, so I won't know exactly what everything is, but I will have the spacing right when I plant it out. Further away from me, but in front of you there, we've got more brassicas. They're all broccolis. So I've written which one, what type of broccoli is in each one, and they actually need more spacing than 30 centimeters. And then we've got some stock flowers. They're really beautiful winter blooms. So hopefully they'll come up before spring. And I put some Swedes in as well. So we've never grown Swedes, but really good in winter soups. So hoping they'll come through. I've already got potatoes, carrots, parsnips and radishes direct planted in the garden. So hopefully they go okay. We also direct sowed peas where the cucumbers were. So we ripped out the cucumbers because they never really came back from that mite attack that I told you about a couple of months ago. That was a real shame. I've got a whole tray of onions to go in as well. We love growing onions over winter. And yeah, right now I'm just sowing up some more flowers, a whole mix of spring, winter flowers. And then I'm also sowing a whole lot of salad greens. So I'm hoping next summer we might be able to have more salad greens planted. This year I just wasn't very organised and I didn't have space in the garden anymore. Like, I like to plant them in the duckwood shade underneath our plants. And a lot of the plants weren't really established at the start of summer when I was going to sow them. So it just didn't really happen. And we've got a lot more perennial plants and trees and shrubs in the garden now, so I think I will actually have lots of space to put lettuces in dapple shade. If you put lettuces in full sun where we are and don't put up any shade, then they just burn and bolt. So I learnt that last year. So yeah, we haven't had any lettuces, but now it's easy. I can just sow them. I can sow them now, and then I can just plant them in full sun now that we're coming into autumn. The days are shorter and they're not as hot. The sun's not as intense. Yeah, so I'm planting lettuces, some herbs and flowers just in this big long tray. Again, a bit just mixing it up. The lettuces, it doesn't matter if I mix match where they are planted because they're all about 20 centimetre spacing. Yeah, so I mean, in the past I have gone to the effort of labelling every single thing, but then they just get lost, and then when I plant them in the garden I forget where everything is. So I think it's kind of more fun just to have a little bit of a surprise, and yeah, just to do it this way. I'm sowing 2 or 3 seeds in each hole. I keep picking up too many. But I feel like that's good, because then if you don't get good germination, you've got at least one that should pop up, in theory. I put way too many of these seeds in my hand. Anyway, I'll just fill the tray. What is really good about this tray as well is I found that I can just leave seeds in here over winter and they won't die, little seedlings, and they won't grow very big because they're just in a little amount. And then I can actually just, like for lettuces in particular, I can plant some out and leave some in the trays, and then once those lettuces are done and harvested, I can actually just plant straight from this existing tray again, the same lettuces. So I can do succession planting basically with these trays without having to do more seed sowing, if that makes sense. So that's pretty cool. I didn't use my seed blocker this time because I'd found all these trays in the free bin at our community garden, and it's also a fun activity to fill them along with Constance by my side. I also find that young seedlings in these trays don't need to be looked after as much before planting, as they can be left out in the weather without drying out or falling apart.
Just make sure it's cool.
It's been a month since we had our hive, and the bees have been keeping pretty busy. So we wanted to have another hive inspection, particularly to see if we could harvest the honey super before winter.
I'm not having a lot of bees coming up attacking me. I still haven't put my gloves on yet. Right, I'll put my gloves on now.
You've done pretty good.
I'll just be more mentally comfortable if I wanted to see how far I got, and I'll work up to it, because it really would be nice to not have to wear heavy gloves all the time. Oh, this feels heavier. But still, it's not 80% on this side. They're finding food, so I'm happy about that. Come on, get out of the way. Yeah, little friend.
Need help? Alright.
No, it's okay. So, well, we just had a bit of an investigation then. What I thought was maybe we'd be able to do a little bit of a honey harvest. Not just because I'm greedy for honey, but because we've also got some empty combs, and I'm hoping that the local gum trees will start to kick off. These bees are still friendly? Yeah, they're not too bad.
I think we're just a bit in their flight path.
Yeah, I don't want you to get stung. Opacity, I thought there would be a little bit more honey.
Honey, yeah. But they are just settling in, so maybe they have been consuming a little bit of honey as they go out searching for what they need.
Mm.
Oh.
Where?
No, it's gone.
Okay.
It's in my hair.
Right. good staying calm.
Thanks.
So we thought that maybe the local gum trees might have kicked off a little bit more with their flowering. Hasn't been the case, so we've only got limited flowering going on. Last summer was incredibly hard and it triggered the local eucalyptus species, Maori, they're a type of corymbia. They really kicked off flowering hard and we had marsh flies and everything like that, but this year there's been a bit of a late flowering. We did have a lot of bees in our garden. The neighbour's garden is flowering quite heavily, so I wanted to check. We thought maybe we could harvest some honey, like take maybe 1 or 2 frames out. We're still playing it by ear. One of the successes there was the smoking, opening up the hive. I was able to do that with no gloves up to a stage. And then just for peace of mind, the bees weren't that angry, but I just felt myself as a new beekeeper, I was just, if I start to get a bit nervous, maybe that'll influence my actions, maybe the bees will pick up it and I will get stung. So I just covered up. But
Okay.
I was doing some reading. There's a really good resource that's free on the internet. I was reading that and just using some of their techniques with smoking to calm the bees down, giving that smoke a little bit of time to work. They were really calm, and I was able to actually unlid the hive and start actually getting frames out with my hands bare. There's probably people out there with a lot of knowledge about bees. Just hit us up if you work bare-handed. I know that you can use latex gloves, but if you're a bare-handed beekeeper, give us some tips.
So my 3 sisters planting didn't really work. There's the 3 sisters being beans, pumpkins and corn. The corn did pretty well. The beans just never really got established. I've got a few pumpkin vines that are doing okay. We're gonna get like 3 or 4 fruits, so not a very good harvest. We had a really good corn harvest. Everything tried to go again, but everything just kind of got mildew now that it's autumn and a bit damp and we've had all the rain. The corn's gone a bit mouldy, and also there wasn't enough pollination for it to really go again, so there wasn't any real full kernels in the cobs. So yeah, I'm just slashing down all this corn, all these stalks, and just mulching this for now, which will protect the soil. And we're going to just decide what we're going to plant in here. I think we're probably just going to plant broad beans in here. That's what we were kind of chatting. I was chatting about with Troy last week. So yeah, this has been a pretty good bed for onions. Really great for cucurbits 2 summers ago. My garlic didn't do that well this year in here. I think we stopped watering it too early. The heads just didn't get very big. So I don't know if I'll try garlic in here again. I might put it in those 2 beds behind you and in front of me. I feel like they get more sun in winter, which is and spring. So perhaps the heads grow bigger over there, just getting a bit more sunshine in that spring, that critical time when they start really bulbing up. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this up for now. It's got some flowers on it. I can just see a bee covered in pollen going into that flower, so I'll just leave it up for now. And I'll mulch it a bit later. There's a bean here that's fruiting, so, and like the pumpkin around this area is doing really well, so I'll just leave this little patch here for now and cut it down maybe in a few weeks' time. The beautiful autumn sun, the morning sun, has hit our tomato bed. So this bed gets a lot of sun and all the others are in shade for most of the morning. And yeah, it's time to really start harvesting our tomatoes. Don't have as many plants this year as I had the first year we planted tomatoes, which is a bit of a shame really, because I would have liked to have gotten stuck into making passata again. We will be able to make some passata, just not as much. So next year I'm really going to make sure we have like 30 or 40 plants put in. This year we have about 20 and some of them just didn't do very well. So about 7 or 8 plants have been carrying us through. The others are just not thriving as well. I think there's just too much ground cover, too much mint and stuff, stealing the goodness for them. But here we haven't actually got any mint and we just had dapple shade and dahlias. So dahlias grew really well with tomatoes, they didn't affect them at all. And these, they're not Romas, they're San Manzanos. These are really nice. They're fleshy and not too juicy and really good for making your tomato sauces for your pastas that you can freeze or bottle and keep for years. So we ate through our 30 bottles of passata over 18 months because we don't eat tomatoes all the time. So that was really great. So I'm hoping next year I'll grow enough so that we can bottle a whole nother lot of tomatoes for 2 years worth of meals. I think we'll have enough for 4 or 5 months if I get my act together and bottle some of them up. But yeah, that won't see us through till next summer. So whilst I was picking these, I thought it'd be a nice moment to share with you some really exciting news. You probably already noticed in this video that I've put on a bit of weight. We're expecting another baby and I'm currently 20 weeks. So it's been pretty hard to hide it actually, but wanted to get all the blood tests and the scans and make sure everything that the baby was healthy before I announced it to you all. Yes, so we're expecting another baby in early August. So a little sibling for Constance. Really exciting. I'm really excited about the timing. It's worked really well having Constance at the start of spring, end of winter. So we're going to be having the same timing again for this baby. Yeah, so that's the exciting news, everyone. We're all really looking forward to it. I'm already feeling the kicks in my belly. Everything's loosening up and yeah, it's definitely happening. Everything's happening a lot earlier this time than last time. It's interesting how some of these tomato plants are so much healthier than others. This one is just going crazy. I'm going to have to cut some of the ties and just pull it down. So just pull that stem down so that it'll be able to support all these more fruit that are coming on up here. Hey, I think this is working. I remember doing this with a lot of plants the first year we were here. There we go. It's always a toss-up whether I mulch the garden or give the clippings to the goats. They really love dahlias and tomato shoots. It's interesting, as this autumn weather hits, the sun's still quite hot and the afternoons are really hot, so the garden does really well because it gets a break overnight, cools right down, and then we get nice heat and nothing gets too dry either. There's a bit of dew in the morning, so there's water in the garden, and yeah, with our drip irrigation as well, everything's got enough water and then it's getting enough sun by like late morning and all through the afternoon. There we go. So this has got a bit more room to grow. I think we've got a few more months of growing. Hopefully it's the same as 2 years ago, and we still have tomatoes growing right up until May. So whilst our cucumbers didn't do so well this year with the mites, the eggplants made it through. They were obviously happy and healthy enough to survive that mite attack. So yeah, we've started to really get a good harvest from them now, as summer has drawn to a close. So there's lots of little ones, so I'm just going to leave them to grow a bit bigger, but I'll just pick some of the larger ones that are almost touching the ground and try not to chop any part of the cap off. Watch out, Jinxie. They're so pretty. These are looking great. Oh, I'll just chop one more. Can't resist. We'll have to do something with the eggplants. Lucky we really like them. We didn't before, but we've gotten a bit better at cooking them now, and if you have some really great eggplant recipes, really appreciate it, because there's a lot more flowers and a lot more little fruits coming through. So interesting eggplant recipes, most appreciated. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you at the next one.